Oh boy, maybe you've gotten an email like this before. My boss wants to know the collective cost for each of the applications that we have in Azure, but I don't want to spend hours collating spreadsheets and filtering through all the tags. So I'm going to use a new feature in Azure called Resource Parenting. Let me show you how this is going to make your life a lot easier. Now this is going to work for any app that you run in the cloud. Here we have one of my Azure Virtual Desktop host pools. And this is the top level resource for this application, so it's a good choice for our parent. Click over there on the properties. Now click to copy the resource ID. Now we're going to need to go to the child resources that we want to associate with the parent, like this session host VM. Click over on the tags on the left, and we're going to add a new tag name, and you have to type it out exactly like this: cm-resource-parent. And the value for this, you're going to just paste your resource ID. So what's really going on here? Tags, as you probably know, are key and value pairs. And you're going to use those to assign metadata to your resources. And tags help you track things like who the owner is and what the environment is, what the cost center is, so you know who's going to pay for stuff, and the application that all the resources are associated with. So if you could just call up something like an application tag, what's with this new parent thing? Glad you asked. Up until now, you'd have to go into Azure Cost Analysis and then filter all of your costs based on a resource group or a tag like an application or a cost center. Then you get a chart like this that shows your cost and breaks it down at the bottom into different kinds of categories. But notice that you don't see the specific resources involved in that cost, and you also can't see a breakdown of each of those individual resources and all the costs that roll up into them, like transactions or bandwidth. But the resource parent is a brand new special tag, and this creates a parent-child relationship between those different resources. And that's going to allow you to roll up all of those costs into one place without having to do anything. Now, to see this new feature, you need to go over there to Cost Analysis Preview. And the layout here is a little bit different, as you can see. You'll want to select Resources, and because we've already input that brand new parent tag in just a second or two without having to do anything, everything is now collapsed down and you can see your parents. Now, there is one teensy tiny little gotcha that you need to know about, which I'll give you in just a minute, so hang in with me. Now, on each of these parents, you can see the total cost for that particular application. Then click on the arrow over there to open the first one. Now you can see all the resources associated with that parent and all of their individual rolled up costs. So open one of those resources, and now you have a breakdown of the cost for that entire resource. So for this VM over here, we have the SKU, which is the size of the VM, the CPU and RAM that you have. We also have a bunch of different items for bandwidth, and that's for the data between regions as well as internet egress. And we have things like network peering cost for ingress and egress, and also private link. So let's scroll down. And we also have another resource in this case, which is a disk, and that's for our VMs, of course. And their cost comes from the SKU of the disk as well as disk operations. So now, armed with this new data, you can see the total cost of ownership for all of your individual applications. So the next thing you'll probably want to know is how you can get this tag set up for all of your apps. Well, you do have a bunch of automation options, of course, like PowerShell and the Azure CLI, as well as Azure Policy. And Azure Policy can be a little involved, so if you're interested in that, comment down below with the word policy, and I'll make a video to show you how to do that. But I think the fastest way for you to try this out is in the portal. First thing you need to do, of course, is grab the parent resource ID like I showed you earlier. Then go and search for tags at the top. And if you have a tag that's common to your resources like application or maybe cost center, select that tag. And now check the box right there to select all of the resources. Oh, and by the way, if your parent is actually in there, uncheck that one because you can't apply a parent to itself. Then go ahead and click the Assign Tags button at the top. For the name, use cm-resource-parent and paste in your resource ID, and then click Save at the bottom. The other way is to come at this from the resource group side or even the All Resources blade. And it's really the same process. You select the resources that you need, click Assign, type the parent, paste the ID, and you're almost done. And here's that tiny itsy bitsy little gotcha that I mentioned earlier. As of today, the cost analysis preview will need 24 hours before you can see that roll-up data. So you'll need to add your tags today and then go back tomorrow and check it out. Now, I'm sure that you're thinking the same thing that I am. 24 hours is way too long to wait for this kind of information. So click the thumbs up, and that way I'll have some evidence that you're interested in that, and I can go back to the product group and push for that kind of an update. And of course, this is just one way in how you could use tags. To learn more about that, you can click over here on this 2-minute video, or maybe you want more on Azure Cost Management, which you can find right over there. Happy learning.